Thank you for joining me today to talk about the guidance counseling position here at Christian Academy. I have a list of items I'd like to ask you that are related to the position, and at the end of the interview, I'll invite you to ask questions to me. To get started, tell me a little bit about yourself and your qualifications for this position.
Okay, so about myself, I grew up in Omaha, in the Omaha area. I went to my undergraduate in University of Nebraska-Lincoln, where I got math secondary education as my um, degree. So then from there, I went and taught 2 years up in South Sioux, and I am currently at um, Jesuit Academy teaching sixth, seventh, and eighth grade um, math. And then I got my master's degree in school counseling from Wayne State. Um, I guess three things about myself pretty much would be one, I am dedicated. I tend to put all my effort into things that I see for I see usefulness for my job. I put all my time and effort into it. Two, um, I'm responsible. I managed to keep up a classroom of um, three, sixth, seventh, and eighth, so three different grades, um, and then um, advanced classes on top of that. So I do a wide variety of um, grade level teaching. So I'm responsible in that aspect and making sure that I'm, you know, difference between the two, and making sure that I'm sorted out there. And then the third one would be I'm easy to talk to. People think that um, people tend to open up to me, and I find that as one of my good counselor traits is that people find it easy to open up to me.
Okay? Give me an example of a time when you had to deal with a difficult student. What happened and what did you do?
So I had a student who struggled in my class. He was a very chatty student, and so most of the time that when we were trying to take notes of some sort, he struggled to actually take the notes, and was more worried about talking to other people. And so I guess what I did, um, was I talked to him about it and said, "Hey, this is what's going on. I see, potential in you. Um, you can do well. If you have any questions, just ask me." And I guess what really changed was he did start asking more questions. He really seemed like he got comfortable in the classroom asking questions and didn't feel like, um, math kind of can be like, "Oh, I can't believe you asked that question." But um, he started opening up, and he actually did well enough that he tested out of his intervention class that he had to be in. So, he started off struggling, but now he's right there in the thick of things with the rest of them.
Great. Give me an example of a time when you found a clever way of motivating a student.
I guess when I was teaching up in South Sioux, um, we had a standardized test that we had to do. Um, and if they got to a certain score, and this is, I'm talking to, a couple of kids because I know that they can do better, but they sometimes rush through things. And, you can kind of see it on there, how fast they take, or if they're just sitting there not doing a whole lot. Um, and, I said, all right, this is the score you have to get. If you can reach that score, then I'll buy you a candy bar. And, again, like that story before, inevitably, when they did sit down, took their time, and they managed to do it, they actually ended up getting the score they needed. So, sadly enough, it broke the bank a lot, but that's, the price I had to pay, I guess.
How many students were there?
It was like 3 or 4 that I had. And I mean, it was just the students that really, that I knew could do better than what they were, and so
Yeah.
it was
Good.
good to see.
Good. Why did you choose counseling?
Um, so I originally didn't think about getting a master's degree in anything. Thought I was just going to teach the whole time, um, and then inevitably realized that to make more money, you needed to get a master's degree. And so I thought, let's go back. I took a year or a semester actually of administration, and when I was going through it, I'm like, this is not for me. It's too much of the political side. I don't know if that's the right word, but like political, the law side of things, more you know, bigger decisions. Whereas I wanted to be, you know, I started teaching because I wanted to work with kids. And I guess that's why I became a counselor, was because I knew that, um, this would be more geared towards the kids. And even if, I don't, get this position, I can still use my experience that I learned from there to help me move forward with, how can I teach these kids better? How can I go about doing this? I'm pretty much just doing it because I enjoy, you know, teaching the kids, being around them, making sure that they're not stressed out, um, type of thing. So I guess that's why I became a counselor.
What makes you interested in teaching in a private school instead of a public school?
I guess, well, the biggest thing for me was I taught in or I didn't teach. I guess I did teach. I I grew up in private schools, and so I saw they how they raised me, and I kind of wanted to go back to that. I'm kind of actually currently going to be doing that in at Jesuit Academy. Um, so I'll be actually teaching at a private school, but I guess I chose private because I kind of wanted to go back to what I started with and kind of how I was, raised, and saw how it made me grow as a person and made how I became. And so I kind of wanted to give that same experience to the kids as well.
Good. What qualities do you possess that, in your belief, would make you a good counselor?
Um, like I said before, I would say my biggest thing is like I'm easy to talk to. Um, I, you know, I'm young enough that they can talk to me about um, music or different sports teams or movies that they saw. So it's not just the counseling aspect of it, it's that they can relate to me in some extent. um, I heard, I mean, i I want to say I'm easy to talk to in comparison. I would say that would be my biggest quality. And then another one would be I'm unbiased. I like to hear both sides of the argument before I make any decisions on what's right and what's wrong. I know sometimes you can kind of lean, some counselors or some people can lean one way or another, and I kind of try to stay away from making a decision until I've, heard all of the facts and stuff.
Have you ever had a case that was hard not to take home with you? How do you separate work and personal time to maintain your mental health?
I would say yes. I struggle coming home and leaving work at work because I I want the kids to do well, and um, something that happens throughout, me teaching, they didn't understand on the first try, frustrates me because I know it's not, their fault that they don't understand it. Maybe it's my explanation, maybe it just takes them a little bit longer on things. And so I guess that's what, like, I would say I take home, is trying to find different ways and thinking about different ways to, how can I explain this, or what can I do differently to help improve. And I would say what I do to maintain, like, self-care, I guess, would be, um I play video games. I um, watch movies. I have a fiance currently, and sometimes talking um, things out, to some extent. Obviously, as a counselor, you can't really say, you know, you can't say their names but just saying this kid or there's a kid at work that frustrates me. Because he's not understanding and so I guess that little bit of venting to someone that might not know the kid or will never meet the kid is always a little bit helpful to get off your chest sometimes.
I appreciate your time in answering all my questions. I'm wondering what questions you might have for me.
Yes, I have a couple. I've actually written them down. So I would say, um, and I guess at this point I would ask the questions, and we don't know the answer to these, but um, first, which grades would I be teaching? Would I be responsible for? Um, would I be required, like I said, to do all of the grades, elementary, just middle school, just high school, and then kind of play it by ear from there to determine what, um, kind of feel out what their certain certain grade aspect would be, because on the job application it said just K through 12. So I don't know if it meant all of them, if it meant just one section. I don't know anything about that. I would say, um, would there be any other guidance counselors that would be working with me? Would I be the only one in the school, or would there be someone else to help lighten the load? Or, like I said before, I do first grade, they do second grade, I do third grade, something weird like that. Um, I guess what would my main responsibilities include? It's not like specifically listed on the website. Like I know the teachers usually have this is what you need to do, report to the principal, do this. And so I'm trying to get a little bit of a more understanding of what I would have to do. And I guess the last question would be, would I have to stay later in the school year? So I know administration have to stay an extra month and have to come in beforehand. So since I'm a counselor, would I have like it's kind of like that administration role? Would I have to stay later, or is it just a regular school year? So those would be my questions.
If there are no further questions than the ones that you've already asked me, that concludes our time together today. I will be consulting with my team and will communicate with human resources to reach out to you following our decision. Thank you again for your time today.
Thank you.